And what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Let me read y'all the realest article that I have come across. And y'all know I read consistently. But let me read this, because this one took me out. It's a long one. Pull up a chair, sit back. This is from the alternate. It's titled, Even Conservative George Will Gets It. This is an opinion piece. Okay? In today's edition, I'm going to try something different. Instead of an essay or an analysis or an interview, I'm going to offer diary-like entries. Okay? This is from the author here. It says, Saturday, January 24th, before Alex Preddy was murdered. I wish white Americans would connect the dots between a cop murdering George Floyd and an ICE officer murdering Renee Good. Most white people didn't believe they'd be subject to institutional evil. They ignored a racist backlash that reelected Donald Trump. Will they see and prevent the next backlash? I can't say. I'm hopeful about it at this point. Okay? Hello. I agree with him. I can't say I'm hopeful about it either. White America should educate themselves on the meaning of race traitor. White America should educate themselves on the meaning of on the meaning of race traitor and what white power has done and is currently doing to those of us who are disloyal to it. White power does not recognize a diversity of opinions and interests. You are a friend or an enemy. Even sympathy can be seen as an act of betrayal. I think liberals generally underestimate the role of race traitors in white supremacy. Key details: ICE shot Preddy in the back. Okay? That's the key detail, because no one really mentions that. And I wanted to line that up again. And I'm glad he said it. Preddy was shot in the back. He was on the ground, on his knees, restrained. He did not brandish his gun. He was unarmed. One of the ICE officers took it. Preddy had a legal permit. Another officer stood directly over him and shot him in the back. Correction, 2 officers stood over him directly and shot him in the back. Shot him in the back. He was shot again and again after collapsing, then asked later, where's his gun? You can hear one of the officers asking. Okay? In my view, the focus on the poor training overlooks intent. It's said that if ICE officers had better training, they wouldn't have killed Good and Preddy. That's wrong morally and political, and I agree. They intended to kill. They are merely looking for opportunities to kill. They must be forced to prove otherwise. Okay? When moderates focus on training, they give ICE the benefit of the doubt. Why do that? What outcome do moderates hope for with better training? As of now, the murder and mayhem in Minneapolis is amateurish at best. With better training, it would become professional. Let that sink in. With better training, they would become better murderers, better killers. Let it sink in. And he's right now, it is amateur hour. Okay? The worst thing about the better training criticism on ICE and Border Patrol is that it leaves a political opportunity unexplored. Moderate Democrats should accuse them of the worst intentions to force the regime to prove the allegations wrong. That would control the debate. Okay? If ICE continues its campaign of violence without resistance from local law enforcement, all cops are going to be met with skepticism from the very people. White, middle class, property owning, NIMBY types, okay? Who have stood by them every time one of them killed a black man. There's potential for state and local business elites to be in open revolt against their own police department. That hasn't been convincible, but it is now. Okay? No one knows what chaos would be in store. This is an opportunity for liberals to push back against the originally stated goal of deporting only immigrants who have committed violent crimes. That was a blatant lie. The murder and mayhem in Minneapolis is the evidence of that. It's time to end the era of immigration understood as a matter of crime and punishment and begin a new era in which immigration is understood as a matter of freedom and opportunity. I think Noah Berlatsky is right. Communities targeted by ICE should be granted citizenship immediately, he said. This is both a matter of justice and imperative if we're going to crush fascism. That should be the moderate position. These people want to be Americans. They want to work for it, even pay for it. Indeed, they are paying for it with their taxes. Make them all Americans now to end the crisis, the so-called crisis. Economist Trevon Logan said, once asked my late uncle what he thought ended the legal Jim Crow era, he immediately responded that the murderers of Cheney, Goodman, and Schwerner in 1964 were the moment Jim Crow died. When I asked why he said that, when white folks fight with white folks, it changes everything. Enough is enough when white on white crime starts to evolve. Okay? Historian Kevin Crush said, when I teach Vietnam, I explained that opposition to the war really grew in fits and starts some big rallies and visible protests, but also a steady stream of celebrities and ordinary folks breaking with their priors and taking a new stand. This last week, feels like real shift. Feels like a real shift. I don't mean to be a killjoy, but we all felt a shift after George Floyd was murdered and the whole country seemed to be waking up. That energy combined with anti-Trump energy to elect Joe Biden, then came the racist backlash by elites, softening the ground for Trump's revival. The biggest difference between the Floyd era and now is that the murder victims are white, and white people won't put up with being treated like George Floyd. I suppose something is shifting, but it won't last if white people keep hoarding equality and justice. Can they make the connection between a cop killing Floyd and ICE and CBP killing Good and Pretty? Can they see the same evil affects them too? I don't know, can you? Can you? Respectable white people are white people who place the highest value on their social status and reputations for being respectable in the eyes of other respectable white people, more commonly known as swing voters or independent voters. They represent a great globular middle of American politics. They are essential to the long-term viability of the Republicans, but key to holding them in preventing them from being fully aware that the GOP is a white man's party. This is why conservatives in the United States invest so much in lying. We really should not underestimate the impact of two white people getting murdered by the state. The Republicans are recoiling. The Democrats are on a war footing. In the Senate, threats of government shutdown. In the House, threats of impeachment. For God's sakes, Trump suggested Freddie deserved death for possessing a gun. White people are getting murdered by the state. Could upend a lot. Respectable white people are now keenly aware that logical conclusion of a decade's worth of anti-immigrant hatred includes murdering white people, and they don't like that not one bit. They are shocked to discover that that authoritarianism did not stop at the color line. It is now sitting directly at their feet. Welcome to the America you voted for. They're now killing you.